Hello Tubesters, it's Gav and welcome to another video. This is the third in the series on the HMS Agamemnon project I've got here. She's a 1 in 1200 scale Langton sailing ship. All metal, including the sails. Let me lift her up so you can have a bit of a closer look. I know you've seen a lot of this, but I just wanted to show a base, but we'll go through it one last time. You've got brass rat lines here, that's photo etch, metal hull, metal masts, and this is the white metal version of the sails. They do supply two versions, white metal or brass, photo etch brass, take your pick really. Finally got a base. The base is resin, that too was bought from Langton's. If you want to make the base a bit more of a rough seascape, I'd advise you maybe to either use some Vallejo plastic putty, Tamiya putty, something like that, or even green stuff, and you can raise the ridges here and just make it a bit rougher if you so wished. But I'm quite happy with what she's got. She's on what they call easy sail, and you can get different versions of these sails. Sorry, I'm not holding her in focus. Where she's like, say, full sail, where the sails are dropped down. They tended to, when they were cruising, they tended to go on easy sail. It just saved wear and tear, not only on the sails but on the strain on the masts and the cordage, which is the ropes that you see attached to them. I've put no ship's boats on this one. It didn't come with any. Sometimes they'll have them moulded on, sometimes not, and they rest on these skid beams here. But I've decided just for a change to see the open deck. And if she was going into battle, she'd be towing them behind her anyway, just to save the splinters should cannonballs go through them. So the base itself was base coated after a primer with a grey rattle can primer from Halfords. So that's an automotive primer if you're not in the UK. I then put dark Prussian blue with a third of black in it. That's your base coat. Then dark sea blue, also from Vallejo. That's a beautiful colour, and it's good for adding to black as well, but that's another story. But that will give you like the greeny type of effect. So dark sea blue on there. Then went to scale 75 Catabrac blue for the more or less final highlights, and I did a couple of coats of those, and I believe I might have even done some watered down Mediterranean blue as well as a very final highlight, also from scale 75. Then silver grey on the wave crests here, and then gone over it with German tank uniform white, or winter white, which is just an off-white, and the same with a little dotted wake at the back there. The ensign was painted badly by me. Sorry, I seem to get blooming. I've had this next to some 10mm buildings I'm flocking at the moment, and I seem to have got some static grass on it. Luckily it's not stuck down. So there we go. The blue that I've used on the back is slightly theoretical, although as I've always said to you guys, the captain had the budget for the paint and decided what they'd have on. The very bright blue that you see on ships, they'd use that a bit sparingly because it was an expensive paint, and it was really there just to tart it up a bit. So there we go guys, HMS Agamemnon. That's another one ready to cruise the Mediterranean for me, should I actually get some more enemy ships. Just to give you a heads up to see what's coming on the next one shipwise. This is a lugger, or I'll actually give you what comes with the brass sails here from Langton's. A Chasse Marie in French, in the UK we call them luggers. We still have some in preservation to this day. You'll see a few of these if you're into World War II, Dunkirk. You'll see German photographs of the debris left on the evacuation beaches, and you'll see a couple of three luggers washed up on the beach, even with some of the sails still flapping around. And they were still using them, I believe, up until the 1950s, maybe even 60s. So what they were mainly used for in the period that I'm using them for, which is roughly around the Napoleonic time, was for as a privateer. So they had a letter of marque from their government to say they could go out and attack enemy shipping. And although they were civilians, because they were sailing under a letter of marque, they couldn't be done for privacy. Privacy? Piracy even. Oh, I'm having one of those days today. This one, as you can see, is a metal base, also bought from Langton's. You find the very small ships, like the cutter that I've done earlier, they tend to go on these very small metal bases. I'm about to stick on the brass sails, which I'll show you in a second. So yeah, you know, they could carry, you know, 4 guns, 6 guns, sometimes just a couple of guns. And if they were very lucky, they might take. They mainly operated, I believe, either you could operate in the Bay of Biscay, but they were quite prevalent, obviously, in the English Channel and up around Ireland. And sometimes they might take 1 or 2 small merchantmen and have a good payday, and other times, literally 2 days out, they could be pounced on by the Royal Navy, and probably the crews end up dying of fever in a prison hulk somewhere on the Thames. So that's my next little project. And I know it's a bit hard to put them together when they're one's on a bottle top and one isn't, but let's see if we can get some type of size comparison. Which isn't really being very plain ball, is it really? But there you go, something like that. I'll just quickly show you the brass sails that come with this. If you buy the smaller ships, the sails are always brass, and they come in the same pack as the hull and the masts, and that's what you get. Now, when you are doing any of the brass sails from Langton's, big tip is you've got these little tabs here. Well, they'll be folding around your mast, but I'd always suggest keeping the extra little bit on the top. So cut to the sprue, not to the not just down to the tab, because it will give you that bit of extra. And the same here, you can see that in more detail. It'll give you that bit of extra to play with. So Gav's top tip is don't just go down to this two little tabs here. Leave that intact as well, because you can always trim it off. So yeah, that's another project to go on the sidelines as I'm working on other things. Obviously, being so small, it probably won't take obviously half as long as the Agamemnon. There's no brass rat lines in this. These type don't have them, so it is more of a simple build, if you can call it that. So thank you very much for stopping by and showing an interest in this project. I do appreciate it. I hope everything's going well with you, and we'll catch each other soon on another video. Cheers.